Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host, Sam Animo Mackenzie, and with me, as always, Harry Nero Richards. And today it's been a long time coming this episode, but today we're going to talk about FaZe because they've won an event, and I think that means that a lot of people are suddenly very positive about them. But obviously, there's also been some news about them that's maybe confusing people. I, as always, am very negative, and we'll get to that in a short while, but Harry, I'll let you speak first. You can take your pick whether you want to talk about the Sydney win or the lead up to that and kind of their year. But yeah, off you go.
I think FaZe are it's probably kind of the reason we've put them off is because they were just so difficult to talk about because you never know which phase you're going to get on the day, right?
Well, maybe for you, whole thing. Because your thing is to be positive. I'd have had a whale of a time. I'd have just done it solo, but.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, you wanted to do it last week, and you would have looked really silly. So I'm glad we wait. Because the thing with FaZe is Sydney proves exactly what I've always said about FaZe, and that is that this is a team whose biggest barrier is always motivation and not quality of any of the players. The barrier is getting up in the morning and actually being asked enough to play. They're literally like old verse, right? They're the old Poles. When they can be asked. If the Stars beat them in the major final, they'll turn up at the next event and actually at the end for the first time in 3 years. It's that kind of thing, right?
So what you're saying is
needed CS2 to get the motivation, and look what happens. They're actually one of the most innovative teams at Sydney, and they've won the event.
So what you're saying is they need to grow up. They need to grow up. They need to appreciate they're paid however many tens of thousands of dollars a fucking month, and they just need to, play the game. Stop turning up to half the events in the year being fucking shit. Stop winning in studios and pretending it fucking means anything. Fucking Grand Slams shouldn't count if there's 2 pro leagues. And, be good for more than 3 weeks of a year. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do agree with that. I think, obviously, if you're looking at you want to be one of the best teams of all time, then yeah, of course you do. But this is... I think FaZe in 2022 were very special because they had that huge aura at the start of the year where a close game, you knew they were going to win. You knew they were going to win. It doesn't matter who they were playing. They battered Na'Vi every time. The scores were always close, but you never really felt like Na'Vi were going to win apart from that one blast quarterfinal that was actually in a studio. It doesn't really count. FaZe on an arena were the most entertaining team and they were the best team, right? And we kind of lose that because they keep going out in group stages and it messes with the momentum. Teams think they can beat them and everything like this. And then in 2023, you kind of see the result of that, which is a team that is quite bad. And you kind of see the flaws in the team. You see Carrigan, can't hype his team up quite as much as he used to, or Rain is just actually looking as washed up as everyone always says he is. And Brokey's not getting enough picks and, and whatever. And it's that kind of thing where you can see the team and you can go, right, well, this is stupid to keep the 5 together for the 2.5 years they've already done and whatever. That's where you're looking at that side of it. But then Sydney, you do see that you do see what happens when you've got Robs and Carrigan, who are 2 of the smartest people in CS, in a room together, just theory crafting the new game. And then you've got individuals that are as good as Rain, Brokey and Twistzz as well, actually working hard again. And yes, it's a problem if I'm the GM of the team, if they stop working hard, I just cut them. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have waited this long. But because they did wait this long, they got Sydney. And is it worth it? Probably not, unless they can build on it. And it looks like you were saying, with the news that's come out, it looks like they're not going to be able to build on it. And I think that is a shame because this FaZe team, once they're in an arena, is the most entertaining one. I will always try and watch a FaZe game in an arena because it's always a banger. It's always a banger. Even if they lose, which is actually still quite rare, their record in arenas is nuts. So I'd want them to stick
play
together,
in arenas.
But yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why it's a rarity these days. So if I'm seeing a FaZe Na'Vi game, and even if it's in the fucking groups of Paris, I'm setting along and watching it. I'm watching it. FaZe in Sydney, I watched all of it. It was great. They're really, really fun. But yeah, how long will we have them?
Yeah, and I think there's a few things I want to say in response to that, but just one thing you said towards the end there was, you want them to stick together. I still wouldn't, but it I'd just be trying to keep Twistzz, Rops, and Carrigan together, get better upper, upgrade on Rain like they should have done, maybe 2 or 3 times with players who have moved in the last 18 months, and then I think we'd see something a bit more consistent out of FaZe. But outside of that, I can't think what episode it was on. I think it was maybe the Ents one, where I said, like, I think Carrigan's stock at that point, I don't know when that was in the calendar at this point. I feel like it was only a few episodes ago, but we've had to miss a few weeks because of various things. Like, I said then that I felt like Carrigan's stock should be as low as it was, like, when he first joined Mouse. I say first joined. When he joined Mouse, you know, a year or two ago, it was 2-3 years ago now, when it was actually quite a while ago. Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago at this point. Fuck. All right. Yeah. Anyway, and so here's the funny thing with Carrigan at this point, right? And I don't think it's as much to do with Carrigan as it is to do with the team, but as the IGL, I kind of want to blame him, because you know that, or you kind of get the feeling that Carrigan is kind of a voice in the way Zonic is on other teams, right? Like, he should be a bit more ruthless, like Zonic was with Flames, I think. Well, Dupree getting Flames. And for me, yes, okay, he's now winning CS2, ridiculously impressive. Like, you can't take that away from him. But for how average this FaZe team became compared to what they were, I kind of think it's unacceptable that, you know, he never turned around and said, all right, we have to make a change, like, something has to change. And he didn't look to innovate 6 months ago. He didn't, you know, they didn't, I mean, Cologne, like, they were still really good, Cologne, last year, so saying get some PSN is kind of ridiculous. But, you know, they then didn't go for Device months later. They haven't yet had a little ass events. But again, that's also where it's difficult for FaZe, because, you know, as we'll get to, FaZe have just been bought. Their finance has been fucked for however long. Like, yeah, I just think that the interesting thing now is all of a sudden you've got people, and you're doing it, but you've got a more developed opinion on it. But you've got all these people again talking about how good FaZe are and all this bullshit. Like, instantly forgetting, because, you know, people in CS have memories of fucking goldfish. Instantly forgetting how bad FaZe have been. And yes, they've innovated, but I think if they had stuck together, the interesting conversation would have been, you know, 3 months' time, after full final, after world final, maybe even after Cato, to extend it a little further. Where would FaZe be then? Because it's great to say they're innovative now, and it's great to say they've got ahead past these other teams, and good for them. But what, do they lose motivation when those other teams have more time to practice? Because if they do, like, they can go fuck themselves, like they have for the rest of the year. Like, bad. Yeah. Like, even despite this win, I'm just very like, fuck this team. And as we'll get to probably in a minute, I imagine, I'm kind of glad change is coming.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think this is always the key thing I think about FaZe, is that they've always kind of been overperformers when I think about them. Like, I think everyone else is a bit liable to maybe overrate the firepower in this team, I think, anyway. Like, I think compared to G2,
it's a purple patch team. It is just a purple patch team.
It's a purple patch team. It's a team that elevates itself on stages. Like, Rain got the MVP of this event. Like, Rain was fucking amazing this event. But the last year, like, not there at all, right? And then in the arena, in the big games, then he's there. And it's a case of, okay, that's great, but we need to get to the arena. And he can't keep having this many consistent events. So I kind of see where you're coming from. Like, I think a bit of ruthlessness, but I do think it's a little bit different to the Apex cutting to pre-1, because Rain is Carrigan's guy. Rain is Carrigan's absolute soldier, like the one he would be most loyal to out of anyone, probably. And I think it is, from the outside, it's easy. From the outside, it's easy to say you should cut him, but there's so many intangibles Rain is going to give you in game. There is. They've lost their coach this year. I think losing Roban is huge. Like, I say every podcaster's team needs a coach like Roban, because Roban lets Carrigan be the main guy, and he's there for emotional support, and they've lost him, right? Like, it's not been easy. It's not as easy as cutting people, but and especially with Brokey as well. Like, we'll get on to him later, but you and I are both quite low on Brokey generally, but he's not terrible. And if you're in a situation with finances like FaZe, like, yes, they should go for Device on paper, but I think Device wanted the security of an org like Astralis, wants to live in Denmark, whatever. And other than that, like I'm not very high on Brokey. Everyone who knows me knows I'm not high on authors like Brokey who don't use the weapon at all in the early round. Like, the most early guy in the game, and they just let the early round sit them by, which is the most important part of the round. But he's still really good. Like, he still pops off like very regularly. And I think there's not that many AWPers who are worth spending 500k. So you spend 500k for a marginal upgrade on Brokey. Like, there's not many orgs that could justify a move like that. I think Brokey's good enough with the chemistry and like the later round chemistry, especially him, Rops, and Twistzz. I think I can see why no changes happened in an org without much money, without much forward planning, because they're too busy trying to like have a civil war or something. Like, and then in the team, you're just like, okay, we're gonna Polish VP it, and it'll be fine. And I think it was kind of inevitable that they would stay together for this long, even if results got worse. I think Twistzz leaving, and we'll get onto that probably about now. Like, I think Twistzz leaving is the only way I think this five was ever going to break up, because Twistzz is the only one on this team that I see having like that crazy level of ambition, that crazy level of like winning mentality. I think Carrigan and Rops have it, but they're too loyal to each other, and if they left, they'd leave together. And I think I don't know about Brokey and Rain as much. I don't think they'd leave this team, because I think this team is as good as they'll get. Personally, I think like peak of this team is as good a peak that those two players can hope for, like especially at this point in Rain's career. So it's Twistzz. Twistzz is the one who was going to look at his options and think, I can improve this team. And that's what's happened. We know he had offers from, so I'm doing the hosting bit now. So we know he had offers from Falcons, probably, Vitality, probably, and it looks like he's going back to Liquid with Cadian.
Which is saucy, by the way.
Which is very saucy. It's like the two dream
very hot.
For an org like Liquid, you get Twistzz, who all your fucking old fans will love, and then you get Cadian, who's just like the hottest property on the market, probably. I think Drogue will regret that for a long time. But so this is the type of thing that needed to happen for FaZe to split up, and it has happened, and now we're going to have to talk about what the fuck is next. And honestly, he's not going to be an easy one to replace. There's not a lot of players who can play the flex role and be as flexible on CT and T side as Twistzz can. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on Twistzz leaving?
I mean, like you said, right, it's been a long time coming. I mean, we've both heard things for months, like even down to some reasons why he might leave. Some of them are just borderline ridiculous on an organizational level. And there's a lot of things that go into it, because I think Twistzz has things that sometimes happen in his personal life. Like I think it happened during the player break when Liquid were really good, so they couldn't practice much going into the major. That's one thing that's been said to me before in interviews, and it makes Twistzz want to play for certain teams and things like that, and affects him at certain points. And FaZe could have done things, they didn't do things, and it's whatever, right? But I agree with you in the sense that, like, I think Twistzz wants to keep winning. He wants to stay at places where he feels like he's valued and where he can continue to be on top. And if I was him, I wouldn't have blamed him for thinking that FaZe isn't that place. And then in terms of potential destinations, I'm glad it's seeming to not be Falcons, because we've still got the partner system for a year, and I don't want a ton of good players to disappear to Falcons for a year, because I mean, I really enjoyed Sydney, but who knows? The first year of CS2 might be miserable. But at least we can watch the best players while doing it. And if they go to Falcons, if Nico and Munacy go like 2 months. It's like sick. Okay,
Well, they're going to be at
That's
events. Let's be
Donker
real.
for-
They're not going to be at Blast events. They're going to be at all the ESL events. Cloud9 are at every ESL event.
They'll lose a few online qualifiers, 100%. There's always stupid
probably.
shit happens in online qualifiers. But yeah, there's that Vitality. You know, that would have been cool. To be fair, like
Yeah, I mean that would be provided
if
Magus is going to Falcons, right? He'd be replacing
if
Magus in return.
if you're gonna lose Magus, then I do think there's only 2 people that can replace Magus, and Twistzz is one of them, and Hunter's the other. But Liquid, it's just a really exciting move, that, and it, like, if you think of the type of player they were missing, Twistzz, kind of that, like, exact thing, and when you add on top, you know, they're getting a real IGL who, yeah, okay, he might not be a phenomenal AWPer, but now, in theory, he'll have the rifle firepower where that won't matter, where at times it mattered with Heroic. If Liquid laid out that team to Twistzz, I really don't blame Twistzz at all for leaving.
Would Sydney change your mind? No? I mean, I don't know why I'm asking you. But you'd say no, right?
You know, I think there's no longevity in FaZe, so no.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't have changed my mind.
What I'm interested in on the FaZe side of things is Twistzz leaving something that was always going to happen, or is it the start of like a fire sale? Is it a start of, because the company that owns Complexity?
No, I think that was always going to happen. I think
Twistzz, from how long the rumors have been happening, I know his contract was up soon anyway. Like, I think it was probably inevitable Twistzz leaves. But what I'm really interested in is what happens now. Like, Harumi's tweeted that Frozen is the one they want to replace him, which obviously makes sense. It's the Carrigan link. Like, Frozen will have to change his role again, probably because he's become a Rob's cosplayer, and he's very good at Rob's cosplaying.
But he was very good when he wasn't Rob's cosplayer.
But he was very good
if anyone
playing
could
with
change,
Robs as well, right? Yeah, he's played with Carrigan before. Like, I think that makes sense. Like, a Carrigan Rob's Frozen core is honestly maybe better than the Twistzz core. I think Frozen's that good. Even if he was a bait boy,
I'd agree.
I think he wouldn't bait in this team. I think Frozen probably has as high as
No, he wouldn't get to
higher. So yeah, I think Frozen's the obvious pick, but are FaZe going to be able to get him now? Like if you're the GameSquare or whatever they are called, like the company that's acquired. I think it is GameSquare, right? So Complexity and FaZe being acquired by them. Surely the sensible thing to do is keep this Complexity team that's got rising stock. It's American, like it has links to the Cowboys brand, which is so key to the team. Like whether that roster plays under the Complexity banner or the FaZe banner, probably more likely the FaZe banner. And then you sell the FaZe roster for parts. And ultimately it might not be down to the players, because you get more money if you sell them individually. Like if it's a package deal to another org, like obviously I think the players might want to stick together, but ultimately the org might not want that. And then you're going to see a situation where, I don't know, like Brokey gets shafted, put into Complexity. Like anything could happen.
I don't. Hang on.
Like I don't want to see this.
One moment. I don't necessarily think that's shafting Brokey. I genuinely don't.
Okay. Well, I think Complexity are really good. We'll go on to that.
I think that is absolutely the best that Brokey could ever hope for, and he should be very happy if he landed that.
You're joking. But yeah, the point is,
where else? No, hang on. Pause.
Team...
Sorry. Pause. Sorry. Where else? I'm not having this. Where else? For that to not be the best.
I'm gonna have to get the ranking up. We're gonna have to get the ranking up.
For that to not be the best. No, it is. I'm telling you, it is. Unless you're gonna try and argue something about Nip.
There's like I mean, it might sweeten the Frozen deal. I don't know how high you are on Torji.
Should we
chuck him into Miles? Like,
no, Shui Torzu. We could.
Shui Torzi, Shui Brokey. Like, I don't know. Simple. There's Overdrive is saying that Na'Vi want to sell Simple as well. So.
Oh yeah, there is that. Okay, there is that.
Na'Vi Brokey.
I mean, maybe that. Yeah, maybe that.
I don't know. I mean, beyond that, then yeah, obviously you're into shit teams already. But it's the thing. That's the thing. I think the FaZe players should want to stick together and sign Frozen, and then that's still a contender team. I think that's what they should want. It's
Absolutely,
just whether,
yeah.
Do you think they'll be able to do that? If your Complexity's GM, and it probably won't be Jip Messias making this decision, but whoever it is making this decision, what do you do with these two teams? Because they're in the final of Sydney. They're both like in really good form, in really good shape coming to CS2. So like, what do you do?
So here's the thing. here's the thing. Unless Complexity have had massive contract renewals, which, given their time with the organisation, they don't really deserve, is probably what, 2 FaZe players equals the entire roster's pay? If that. I don't know how much Rops gets paid, but if it's
A lot.
ridiculous...
Less than he would have got paid by Liquid and G2 and everything. Like, about the same as he got paid on Miles, but it's still quite a lot.
Okay. Rops and Carrigan equals Complexity. So in that case, this parent company, they probably keep the Complexity roster because it's a lot cheaper. And regardless of what happens over the next few months, there's going to be something ticking in their head right now that says, fuck me, they just made a final. These guys, they're getting somewhere. And they might never even make a playoffs again. But that's what's going to be happening because it's a cheaper roster, and that's just how fucking business works. But it's kind of...
The American link is huge, too.
There is that. But it's where I could... So this happened with Optic and Envy, 2021, I think. The two companies merged, and Envy was retired as a brand because of like how much bigger Optic was.
Wow. And CS as well, right? Optic and MIBR.
No, that was different.
How?
That was
Optic's acquired both.
Yeah, so like the Optic Envy was like a eventual fallout of that. But that was that was them being bought. But like I'm talking like this probably ends up being some strange merger between the two organizations in the end, being realistic, because FaZe's name and brand value is massive, and I genuinely think with all the conflict of interest stuff that will surround this, the only way that Complexity survives is because there'll be something tied to it, like Dallas Cowboys deal. I can't see
Dallas
them
Cowboys
keeping
are
the
behind
Complexity.
I think that they'll probably play as FaZe and maybe have a blue kit or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there'll be some stupid shit, because at the end of the day, the FaZe brand just means so much more. And if you take FaZe out of esports, the brand is gonna like decrease.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's that. But going back to Frozen, because I honestly cannot remember how we just got to where we were. Going back to Frozen, I agree. If they kept this team together and Frozen went there, it's a really good team. But Carrigan's what, 30 something? He's 30 something.
Yeah.
Rain is 29. That Mouse team has an average age of 20 and is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
It has the best young IGL. It has Frozen, who is great. Xertion is really good. Jimfat's really good. Torzy's getting a lot better under Shuey. I tweeted last night, like, this is probably the first time when, especially in a link between Mouse and FaZe, the Mouse player is better off staying where he is. A lot better off. And FaZe now probably have the money because they've been bought. I just don't think that should change anything for Frozen, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if you really want to be long-term thinking, like, you kind of, maybe you want to go to FaZe because of the Rops link and whatever, but in a few years, FaZe are going to be looking at the Shuey Xertion pack and thinking, I'll have a bit of that, please. So why can't...
I mean, yeah, if they turn around and
that's
they
kind
say,
of
like,
the thing.
Yeah, if they turn around and be like, oh yeah, so Carrigan's already told us Copenhagen's his last event, and at that point we'll boot Rain as well, just go and get your boys. Like, sound.
Yeah, that's sound.
Yeah. At that point, jump ship. But if that's not the long-term plan, fuck it, don't go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like, don't even consider it.
I think Frozen shouldn't go. I think he might go because I think Carrigan does have crazy pull factor. I think. As old as he is, I think he does. I think it might happen,
Right.
but
He
okay,
deserves that.
let's yeah, he does deserve it. But let's operate on the assumption that Frozen's smart and listens to you, and listens to probably what a lot of people are telling him, and that
Wow, a
Mouse is
smart
safe for long
person listening
term,
to me. That's crazy.
right? Let's follow that. Fuck the FaZe do then. You've got
Well,
Hunter.
okay.
If Nico and
Yeah,
Monacy
so we
leave,
spoke
you've
about
got
this
Hunter.
earlier.
You've got Deha. Like these like flex T-side
Sorry.
players.
Sorry. Okay. So we spoke about this earlier, right? And we gave those two names, and Magisk, or well, you did. I wouldn't take the credit for that. Magisk. Oh yeah, okay. You said Shush as well. Magisk looks to be off to
Falcons.
So he's out. Hunter, if Nico and Monacy leave, I don't see a world where, unless G2 back out of CS, which I don't see them doing, I don't see a world where they let Hunter leave. Unless he somehow has an attainable buyout and they can't do anything about it.
Well, you can see the merry-go-round with G2 going FaZe, right? And just keeping Hunter.
That could work. But Shush is like, feels bad for Hooksy if that happens. But yeah. Shush, it's months too early. This heroic team is going to fall apart. Unless Carrigan goes there, which would be really
fun. Well, by the time this is out, we could say Dubry signing after the rest of the year. And it's not going to be the last change that they make, pretty sure.
But okay. So heroic's going to fall apart. So it's months too early to get Shush, unless he already like fucking senses. Which leaves you with Deha. Now I would like Deha to be pulled away from Ents because I think Ents could improve on Deha. Not that I think he's bad.
But with who? We've just established this. It's a really hard role to fill.
No, but this is different, right? Because this is Snappy. Snappy's going to cook up some name that you and I have never heard of, and he's going to be the greatest player in the world, and we'll just accept it, right? Now, think of the names we've just mentioned, right? Shush, Magisk, throw Twistzz in there for the sake of it. Hunter. Very smart players. Deha. Deha is not a smart player. You cannot convince me Deha is a smart player. He just has really good aim in a team that's really good at trading. He's not a smart player. Watch him in a clutch.
Okay, but
FaZe would be worse with Deha. He is the worst option. He is the worst option on that list. He could never do the shit Twistzz does. He could never ever do the shit Twistzz does.
Yeah, but if Carrigan wants a proven name, like there's, like you saw what Liquid solution was. Liquid needed the fucking like a fourth guy, like to replace Elise. They needed a guy like that. They looked around. They were like, "Fucking hell, should we just make Naf do it and sign Rainmaker?" Yeah, all right, let's have a go. And then they signed Twistzz. So this is what we're talking about. Like this is a GM nightmare losing a player like Twistzz, because unless you just make Robs, like Robs has been very aggressive at Sydney, unless you just fucking Robs do it. But why would you do that? It's Robs. So this is what we're talking about. And this is why I think if they can't secure Frozen, whether that's via a new organization buying them all or what.
If they can't do it, sell the team.
If they can't secure Frozen or like Hunter, I think they should be scrapped for parts probably. Yeah. And I think that's really sad because I love this core. They're like fucking amazingly entertaining. But I think you can see it getting scrapped, and you can see a lot of places Carrigan could go and improve, like Rain, Apex using basically a stand-in, like fucking goes to your Norwegian org, whatever. Brokey Brops.
Sorry, that move's so funny. That move's really funny because it's just like, Rain.
MVP
Rain,
first CS2 event, Apex.
Major MVP. Yeah, it's just, there's nowhere else for him. Unless
it's like...
you put him on Liquid.
What? For your Kinta?
Or Skulls? I was going to say Skulls, but you know my thoughts on Yukinda, so I don't care.
I think Rain would be too similar to Yukinda. That's the thing. Like Rain's the pack rifler, but he's like, he kind of takes up a lot of space in the team. I think because Twistzz is very good at being supportive T side.
He's smarter than Yukinda,
and Robs takes a lot of anchor spots CT side. So the Rain does actually have a lot of room in FaZe that I don't think a lot of top teams would offer him. I think that's fair to say.
No, I agree.
So I think the Rain really needs to stick together because he clearly has like a year or two left in him, like of at least being like kind of mediocre and popping off like 3 events a year.
He's got more time in him than Dupree does.
Yeah, it's like that's the comparison, right? And Dupree's landed himself a team, so. But yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's if you're Carrigan and Rain, you really want this team to stick together, and if you're Rops, you're probably talking to your agent. As much as Rops loves Carrigan, and I think Rops would love to take Carrigan with him wherever he goes. But
Speaking to his agent, he's like,
very difficult, isn't it?
give Sonic a call, please. Just call him
Yeah?
Sonic.
Well, so we're just going to cook and get fucking Carrigan, Nico, Munacy, Magisk, and Rops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
That
For
is
the money glitch.
That is
That's the best team of all
greatest
time.
team I've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah?
But no, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. On paper, I think it is.
But this is the thing, though, in all seriousness. If this team is sold for parts, it's not a case of, okay, Nico and Munacy are fucking off to Falcons, let's just cut JKS and Hooksy and just sign FaZe. If that don't happen, Rops has to land himself a place on Falcons, because
don't fancy Vitality? Making Spinks the aggressive game? That's kind of fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only other option, I guess.
Eh?
It's got to be Vitality or Falcons for Rops. Rain, I don't see him getting anywhere other than Apex.
Navi as well for
Nip?
Rops.
Nip? The Rain?
Yeah, Nip Rain. Well,
Yeah.
Nip are going to stick in Sash, aren't they? Nip, if they're serious, they're contacting people as well. Like, there's so much happening behind the scenes right now as we enter CS2. Like, it's going to be very hard for us to speculate. But the point is that a player like Rops will have a lot of options, even if a lot of them are going to be worse than the FaZe team with Frozen would be, or a FaZe team with Hunter would be instead of Twistzz, right? A lot of them are going to be worse options than that, but Rops will land on his feet. I think any team with Rops will improve a lot on CS2 just because it's Rops, right? Like I'm not convinced that I would say like 75% at least of the new stuff FaZe came with this event. It's probably even higher was because of Rops and not Carrigan on the air. If we're honest.
Oh, definitely.
Like Rops is the reason, in my opinion. I think Rops is the opinion they won Sydney because you could just see so much of the nerdy shit that he's been doing on stream, just winning them games. Like, he's that guy you want as you enter CS2, and I think that's why it's a real shame that they can't build around. I know we're not as high on the core of the Twistzz, Brokey, Rops as maybe some people are, but like that would be a wicked CS2 core just because it's got Rops in it, and Twistzz is so flexible, and Brokey's so good in the late round with those other two alive with him and stuff like that. Like, this was supposed to be a core that would last years and years, and it's done two. And Twistzz has thought, maybe this isn't a forever thing anymore. And that is a shame. That is a shame because I don't think the team really deserves to get scrapped for parts. I think this is the only situation where it would get scrapped for parts, is being acquired by someone who already has a team that's pretty promising. And that's just a shame. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. It is a shame, right? Like, I think what I would prefer, although, like, I think if you replace some of the aggression on Nip, they're all fucking aggressive on Nip, but if you replace one of them with Rain, you get a better team because Rain is just better than all of them. I think, you can save Heroic a lot of the hurt they've got coming to them if you put Carrigan there. Because I think Falcons are going to build a strong enough roster regardless. Rops going to Falcons or Vitality, whatever, it's fine. But I think the worst case scenario for CS, based off this and based off other things that we're hearing to do with other teams, the worst case scenario is losing G2 and FaZe. So now that we've had this conversation, I am thinking like I would much rather that, they all go there, and then maybe JKS ends up on Vitality or some shit like that, and we just see healthier movements that just like keep the scene having, so we don't lose a top team because, I said it in the Heroic episode, that what we're now seeing from Heroic is actually they were just the main benefactors of a very weak scene. And I think in the last, maybe since Rio, maybe, as in this year, not last year. I think what we're seeing is a far stronger team. And that's why, yes, a couple of teams have won a couple of events since then, whatever. The events feel more competitive and it's more fun to watch. And to now lose that because of some transfers that just completely erase a team would be really sad, in my opinion.
Well, so I think as a more general point about the whole scene, I think teams are going too early on this major shuffle. I think I know
sure about
CS2 is. I know CS2 is like still very similar to CS. Like the macro is exactly the same. It's not like going to be crazy how much new talent's going to crock up. I mean, like, I guess it's either you do it now or else Copenhagen's the issue, isn't it? I guess that's why everyone's doing it now. It's because you still have a little bit of a runway to Copenhagen.
Well, it's like
I just think
it's
the
like
amount
Liquid.
of teams that are changing is insane. Like
it's like Liquid
I don't
making
know,
these
I
moves,
just
right? If Liquid
Okay,
don't make
Liquid
these moves,
doing
they don't even make Copenhagen. If NIP don't make moves, I don't think they make Copenhagen.
Liquid and NIP. Yeah, I mean, I'm more talking about like Megas leaving Vitality. I hate that. I hate Sonic leaving Vitality. I hate
that one's absurd. Yeah,
I hate Nico and Monacy leaving G2, even if it's like, the rumor about Nico is it's money related, but that's the rumor that's like it's a KRL rumor. Like you never know. Like, KRL for Rumi Overdrive. Like Overdrive's right most of the time. The other two are like just everything they hear they just say. It's like it's
love it. By the way, love it.
Yeah, it's
More
good to
of that,
see and it gets
please.
you talking, but I do
More
think
of
we're gonna end up exactly like football. Everyone just talks about Rostermania all the time. No one actually talks about the game.
Good.
It's just Rostermania, which is fine.
That's not
I'm
all
fine
the
with
time. It's not all the time. At least in football. I think it would be different in CS because there's no set transfer windows. But
Yeah.
so much better than just a bunch of Romano tap-in clones. Like, fuck that shit. It's so boring. Like,
Yeah,
you
and
see a
report when
report,
you're
you
right,
know the
yeah.
move's happening, and the only time the report doesn't happen is because the players got to the airport and thought, nah, fuck that, and left. Like,
Yeah, it has to break down
that's
so
how-
late for a CS report.
no, but that's the thing. That's how close it has to be for it to not be real, for it to be wrong. Sorry, and that's boring. It is boring. Like, I really like Arumi. I think Arumi's cool for that. And I hope he doesn't get bullied out of the scene. Because I think he's good for the general entertainment value, and at the end of the day, it's an entertainment product.
It's clearly a twat, isn't he? But yeah, I know what you mean.
Definitely a prick. But like, but it's
It is
good.
quite fun. There's nothing better than a little flag and just a bomb. Flag team plus bomb. Just fine. Just throw it out there. Whatever. We'll see, I guess.
Thank God Ent's got their business done earlier on in the year, because that would be a fucking awful tweet now.
You're terrible. But yeah, so this is the thing. It's like going into the fucking major, like there's no stability now. Like I know this is a FaZe episode, but there's no stability. It's like if Vitality are losing majors, which is insane to me, like Ent's got to take advantage. Ents and Mouse really have to take advantage. Mouse need to keep frozen and keep building on this, and then you never know, they could go into that major as favorites. That's not a million miles away.
Yeah, they could.
Like if they
could.
keep progressing, like I
mean,
know
realistically, right?
Torgy's still Torgy, but you know, I don't know.
With
and I
the
think
calendar,
FaZe, where do FaZe land? You never know.
What's first, Pro League or the major?
There's one event before Pro League. I think it's Kato before, and then Pro League after the major.
So
It's
it'd be
Kato
Spring
major
groups,
Pro League. I'm pretty sure.
Spring groups, Kato major Pro League. Yeah, I mean, in that case, whoever
yeah, it's
wins
Kato,
Kato's-
RMR's major, IEM China, Pro League Dallas.
So in that case,
Last
whoever
time I
wins the
announced it,
major
sure.
is going to be the favourites.
Who wins Kato?
Whoever wins Kato is going to be the favourites, and that could easily be Mouse, could easily be Ent.
It could be anyone.
My
that's the
God,
thing.
if it's
It's just quite
my
fun.
God, if it's Falcons, then I don't know what happened to the world. It really could be anyone.
Let's
at
think
this
of the
point.
roster we said. Fucking hell. That would either be the best team of all time or literally going groups every week.
Yeah, it'd be.
It's just
awful.
no
Like
in
Cloud
between.
9.
It's too good on paper for it to work. It's too good. Yeah,
But
fucking
yeah, okay.
Cloud9.
This was a FaZe episode, right? So let's go back to FaZe. And, you know, I almost suggested making a transfer episode, but it's not really deconstructed of us. No, we probably should have fucking done it. But anyway, let's go back to FaZe, right? Because I want your opinion on this, because I've given mine, and I feel like you've half given yours. But if Twistzz just decides he's like, nah, okay, I'll stay. You know, there's some weird background shit going on at the moment because of this merger, and they're like, nah, I have the fucking money. Like, we'll keep the team. Twistzz stays because Sydney's made him change his mind. And, you know, maybe that's what that life is confusing tweet was about. Who knows? Where do you see FaZe's next 6 months lying? Because, you know, I've said I think it would go back to reality. What do you think?
I think there's such a momentum-based team. I think they need to really go on a run. I think if Twistzz does stay, and if they are going to be like as good as they were in 2022, which I don't think is feasible. I don't think that's feasible. I'll tell you that for free. They need to basically win every event to keep going. I think one group stage exit, it'll be like, well, fucking hell, we had a flash in Japan. You know, we had Rops in the lab, and now it's back to normal. And now we're going to need to kind of reassess. Chef Rain was just so good this event. I just think it is that thing where it'd be properly ruthless, and I don't think anyone on the team is that ruthless. I think Carrigan would have cut Rain already. I don't think that Carrigan is going to cut Rain anytime soon. It's definitely not going to cut Brokey either. And as you keep Twistzz, Twistzz wasn't even Twistzz was like the fourth best player event. He was like fine. Like he hit a few headshots in the 39 win, but he was kind of mid. But I think FaZe are most dangerous when Rain is like playing like this, and that is going to be the absolute key. It's Rain and Brokey are the really like, they grab a game by the scruff of their necks. Robs always gives you output, and that is why he's just amazing. But where do I see them in 6 months? Like, I think they could be a top 5 team but I don't think they can be as consistent as they'd need to be to justify keeping the lineup for 2.5 years.
Look, if they're not a top 5 team, something's going really fucking wrong because they don't miss an event.
Yes, exactly. Are they a full final? They must be, right? Yeah, they are, because they won Pro League. They won Pro League, so they're at full final and world final. They're at the Shanghai event as well. So yeah, they've got a real chance now to ride this momentum, and I just think maybe this merger and Twistzz leaving is going to harm that momentum a bit too much. And I think yeah, it pains me. I think you might be right. I think this might be the peak of this roster in CS2, which is really sad to say, because I think the individual players can still go on and do amazing things. I really think that. I think Carrigan has got a lot more to give. I think Rob's got a lot to give. I think Brokey could be a very solid top 10 team opener. I don't think he'll ever be as good as he was in this FaZe team, probably. But I think he can be solid. It's a stable piece to build around, and that's like very underrated in AWPA, where most of them just overpeak and die every round.
He'd be a lot better than Holzak.
AWPing is quite hard, isn't it? So
it's incredibly hard.
So it's just kind of, I don't know. What would you consider success if they keep Twistzz, based on what like you expect from them?
Never missing a
title. Yeah, but this is the thing is that
okay.
If they're in the playoffs, they'll get the buff, and then I can start believing. I don't think they're going to lose many.
That work in Paris
from now.
Did that work in Paris?
They played a lot better than their level was at the time in that quarterfinal, I think. I think Heroic were ramped up for that.
Which is fair, but this is my point.
My minimum expectation.
My minimum expectation for FaZe, you know, if Heroic could have done it, if Na'Vi could have done it last year, like mid-war, fucking all that shit. They made quite a lot, Harry.
What, Na'Vi?
Like, yeah.
Oh, well, Na'Vi making every playoff. Okay, no, I thought you meant if Na'Vi could beat FaZe. Sorry, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, they didn't beat them. But this is what I mean, right? If Heroic can do it by actually kind of being average, if Na'Vi can do it with all this shit that was going on with their lives, which again is why the FaZe motivation bullshit is egregious, fucking ridiculous. That my minimum expectation for FaZe, and of course it's winning more trophies. Of course it is. Like that's what you want to see from FaZe, because that's what you want to see from ENT and G2 and Vitality. It's what you want to see from all 4 of those names, and before that, even add Heroic in and Na'Vi in. You want that to be the thing for every team, because it's better when there is no dominant team. There's no dominant teams because teams are good, not inconsistent. That is better. But the minimum has to just be making playoffs, because that's what they haven't been doing for a very long time. Like, they weren't in the Kato playoffs. They weren't in the... Yeah, they weren't in the Cologne playoffs, right?
It makes sense.
No, they weren't. That, regardless of winning Pro League, regardless of winning Sydney, regardless of being in the major quarterfinals, not making playoffs, right? If this is the end, if this is the last event of this FaZe roster, the last year of that roster, especially given everything that happened after Cologne last year when they just, didn't win an event until Pro League, the last year of that roster, failure. I don't care if they wouldn't do events, failure. They have to be
based on what they were, I guess, but
because
that's the
how
norm.
good they are.
That is how good they are, but the norm is for teams to have 6-month peaks. This is something that is very, very normal. It's very, very special teams that are able to maintain a peak across a player break. FaZe are one of a long fucking list.
And I don't think it's outrageous to suggest that this team should have been that good. Not could have, should have.
I think with the way their win... Okay, so their win condition, just the way it worked, I just don't think it was ever going to be sustainable, cross-season. I don't think you can be that clutch team with the terrifying aura that steps up every playoff game. I don't think you can do that for that long. You can do it when events are coming thick and fast and you're winning every single one. But once you're beatable, I think a lot of it crumbles down a little bit. I think it was never going to be sustainable as a route to winning lots and lots of trophies.
I just think they lost games they shouldn't have lost.
Yes, they have. Even the Dallas Ents game, that was stupid as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean when I say they've lost that aura. Whatever happened to Sydney.
But this is what I mean. I think, and this is why I came into this episode wanting to be harsh on FaZe, is because what should be the minimum expectation for this team, what other teams manage to do consistently, it's not even the minimum expectation anymore. And that's because they have a play style that is actually fucking bad, right? Ignore the innovations for a second, right? And focus on the fact that that win condition is based around what is the CS equivalent of an old man playing really well and an AWPer who is good for 3 months of a year playing really well. And it falls apart when those two aren't playing well. They're shit. That is my point the whole time. It's so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch when it's going well. But when it's not, it's terrible. It makes me slightly question Carrigan's leadership, because how much you know in terms of him building tactics. And that's why it should have had changes. And if it doesn't change, then the minimum expectation has to go back up to you never miss a playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. But it's just the general, even the philosophy behind the team. I praised it before. I think focusing on the late round is something that's really cool. It's a unique way of having the supportive pack and then fucking 3 mega stars in most clutches, right? I think it's a cool way to look at the game. It's just we've seen their real peaks are when they have rain popping off, and that is the type of thing that kind of it pushes them back, and it kills that narrative dead. It kills the narrative of 2 support in the pack and then 3 amazing low players, right? Because when this team is best is when they look more like a conventional team, when they have Twistzz being more supportive, Rain and Rops really being the star riflers. That's when this team looks best. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it that way, then maybe you got to think maybe we should just get a star in for Rain and have someone more supportive do Twistzz roles. Maybe that's the way.
Flames, which is missed opportunities. And I don't like Yukindar, but it's a missed opportunity.
It is.
It is absolutely a missed opportunity in Flames. Really is. But with that, I think I've said everything I really want to say. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I would say, man.
I will say that I think that we're now approaching, there's going to be no conflict of interest for them with these blast events. So I think this team in some basis, God, I hope it's not with a fucking stand-in that makes them worthless.
They'll win. They'll win with a stand-in.
Oh yeah, they'll get Croman back.
Yeah, wheel him out.
But this team, you know, like going back, this team has been incredible for Counter-Strike. You know, Ray might be the only one to never leave, but you know what you were doing during the Boston final. I know what I was doing during the Boston final. There's a whole lot of people I know who know what they were doing during that final. Cologne last year was incredible. So many good things from this team, and it's a real shame that really it is going to end the way that it's going to end, because I don't see this team surviving on FaZe, and I don't see FaZe potentially ever being what they have been again for a long time, because with what happened with Optic and Envy, I think that's what is going to happen again, which means FaZe will be complexity, and even if they add Brokey, it's not going to be as good, and yeah, I think that's a shame. This Sydney will be the peak of this FaZe, if not the last time we ever see FaZe, and that's a real shame. So, you fuckers at home, right? What do you think about these potential changes? Where would you like to see the players go? I know Pimp did a little fun tweet, just suggesting moves, and yeah, I'm actually interested, because I honestly think Carrigan to Heroic or Falcons is saucy. Will we see? Other than that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Next week we'll talk about Liquid. Maybe changes will be confirmed. If not, we'll just speculate again, because it's fun. I've been Sam Animo Mackenzie. He's Harry Nero Richards, and we'll catch you in the next one.